Okay. So I have a couple of slides, and then as I go through the slides, we are going to get some work done. And also would need to use the Cairo Lang documentation. Mm, Cairo Lang book to follow through. So in case you've not done installations and all that, you will need this for your installation and all of that. So okay, so I've done the introduction. My name is Faith, and popularly known as Faith7 on all social media, aside Telegram, where I'm Faithia7. You would still see me as Faith7 on Telegram, but I'm not so active um on that particular with that particular username. I'm not so active on Telegram, but with 57, 7, you'll get me on Telegram. But yeah, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, you easily find me with 57. Okay, so to writing our first Cairo program, we'll need to understand the Cairo syntax first, and then we'll start writing our Cairo code. And that is why I'll be using the Cairo book to help us with understanding the various syntax in Cairo. So let's get started, and let me get these. All right, so this is a very um, apt syntax for Cairo, in that um, okay, in that for every Cairo program to run. Now there are some things you need to know while working with Cairo. Cairo is a programming language, right? It also has a virtual machine, the Cairo VM. But I'm referring to Cairo as a programming language now. As a programming language, you can use Cairo to write your programs, your codes, to perform some functions, to do other things, right? And you can also use Cairo to write smart contracts. Unlike working with Solidity, Solidity can only be used to write smart contracts. Cairo, on the other hand, can be used to write both smart contracts and normal programs, normal implementation for codes, for functions that you need to integrate with a front end later on in the normal web space, or for ZK and advanced computing programming. So you can use Cairo programming language in these phases. So as just to write programs, to write Cairo code, you need to have a main function, just like you have a main function in your C programming language, right? And what is it, Java? I think Java is int or something. But then it has a main function, and then in the body of the main function has your implementation logic, whatever it is you want it to implement. For these, we have a main function that is printing the value of x at every interval where x is changed, or that is what this part is trying to do. It is trying to print x, the value of x at each point of x. At this point of x, it's trying to print that x is 5, while at this point, it's trying to print that x is 6. even though there are errors in the logic of this code, but that is what this block of code is trying to achieve. Now, if you write this logic in a different function other than the main function and you try to run your Cairo program, it would not compile because that logic in that function, that particular function, was not called in the main function. So the main function executes every logic in your code, in your code base. That is what gives opens up access to all the functions in your code for you to play with and get access to. So for a program in Cairo to be complete and be called a program, it must contain a main function. Even though the main function is empty, that is a valid and valuable Cairo program because it contains a main function. So if you implement this logic in another function, you would need to call that function in this main function. So that is it about the main. And I hope that was as clear as possible. And I'm going to try to figure out why my screen doesn't want to show other things. Can anybody see my code? My VS Code opened. Did anyone see that? Okay, so let me try to. I don't know what is going on. I don't know why. Mm, Unfortunately, I can't share my entire screen. I don't know what is going on, and I can't share other screens opened. I don't know why. So sorry about this. Okay, so I don't know why it's not working, but then I think I would leave that part out and would go would use the stack links to work. While I hope if there's a next time, I should have figured it out what is going on here. Okay, so because of this issue going on, I am going to walk straight to the point. I'm going to go straight to the point and start using the Starklings challenge so we can make progress. Let me see. Starklings are app. Now with Starklings, Starklings helps you to learn Cairo at a very fast pace. So if you can finish the Starklings challenge, you'll be a pro. I'm not going to connect my GitHub because I want it to start from the scratch. Okay, so let's just do this. This is starklings.app. You can use this to help. My VS Code, my screen is not sharing and I don't want to waste our time. The more, unfortunately, I am so sorry about that. I would probably have to record a video where I create a new um a new program, write and then compile, so you can see what happens during compilation time, if there are errors, how these errors are being treated in your local machine, not online. Okay, so let's write our first Cairo program. A simple hello world example that demonstrates how to output text and interact with the Cairo VM. So this might not be possible, but let's see, because StarkNet has its own challenge. Now, I told you guys that for a Cairo program to be valid and be seen as a complete program by the Cairo VM, it must include a main function. Now, I want you guys to remember I said there is Cairo programs and then there are Cairo smart contracts. So at this point, I am referring to the Cairo programs, not your Cairo smart contracts. Please, let's understand that part. So for a Cairo program to be valid, you need to have a main function written in it. So I think I can test here. You can decide to include whatever it is inside this block, and you can just say let x be hello world. Unfortunately, I'm not sure I can test it because I'm not sure I can test it here. Let's see. Yeah, it's crying. Yeah. Okay. Okay, cool. And then to print what x is. Yeah, I can use VS Code, but unfortunately my screen is not sharing. Or can someone suggest something better that I could do? The screen is refusing to share the aside from the Chrome tabs. That's the only thing that can get shared unless I have to shut down the system. Yeah, even though I stop sharing, I still can't share. This is the only thing I can share. Yeah, it's not sharing my entire window. It's not working. I would have to shut down the system. Okay, let me see. Is this an online VS Code?
Yes, it is.
Okay, okay, let me try this. Oh, awesome, 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 awesome. So please hope you guys can see this, please.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
it.
okay. So I've not worked with this before and don't know how to create a folder, but let me just work with a file. I don't know how that will work. So let's call this Blockfuse Labs. Then for every Cairo file, you append it with a .cairo. Oh, oh, okay. Can I open a folder from my PC? Oh, okay. Okay, so sorry guys, I'm just working with this for the first time. Let me see. Um, okay, so now I would create, although this is not how it's supposed to work, but then let me just create. Please, you guys should use the the Cairo book for proper creation using Scab to create um to create your folder for your to work with. So for every Cairo project, you would file, you will need to append with the .cairo extension, so it can read that file as a Cairo file. Let's see if I can install some. Oh, great. It's not available. Let's see if this is. I don't know if this would work, but let's see. So for every valid IO program, you would need to have a main function present. Now, this main function can include any any logic, and you can either create a function, say greet, and your greet function. Oops, sorry. Your greet function can say um and you can just say print. The previous syntax was print x dot print, and if you did it this way, it was going to print the value of x for you. But now this is what how to print. So you can say, then decide to print x. Unfortunately, um I really don't know how this online VS Code works, if it works exactly. So um what how can I do this? Let's see.
Sorry, can you use Cairo Playground? Somebody just, if you
Can
can
I
use it. Can you use Cairo Playground?
let's see. Oh, okay. I think this is way better. Okay. Let's try this. Now, I'm so sorry, guys, for everything. Like, I'm really sorry. I don't know what's up with my PC. I really don't know why it's not sharing. So let's just proceed. Let me try to print X and see if I. Okay, okay. I think it's working. So let me write a statement. Okay, it compiled successfully. Execution output 0. Let's see. Oops, sorry. Okay. Um, I don't know why it keeps outputting 0. I don't think that is the output I'm looking for. I really haven't figured this out. Well, it works. It compiles. Now we can add this. We can put this logic in a different function. Let's cut this out. So let's do some manipulation here. Now for every variable in Cairo, every variable is um immutable by default. What do I mean? Every variable by default in Cairo is constant, or not really constant. It's just constant at that point where it is declared. The value cannot change. The value cannot be altered along the line when you are performing some operations in Cairo. And that's why when we read the book, you saw this let x be 5 and x equals 6, and at some point it gave some errors because x can not x cannot be reassigned a new value because it is expected that x is immutable at that point. So to make x get change in value, you would need to add the mute keyword to make X a mutable variable. So with this, is this what I was using? Sorry. You have to make X a mutable variable. So with this, even though I've not fully figured out what I'm expecting from this part, I'm expecting the output to actually read the value, but I don't know why it is not. But with this now, I think I can go further. I can run the class the way I want to. Now, at this point, X is mutable. So the value of X can change at this point to something else. And then we decide to print X at this point. Now, if we run this, it's not supposed to um, print anything for us. Why? Because our implementation is in greet function. And for the compiler to print and run out this logic for us, this greet function needs to be included in the main function, because it's the main that executes the functions that are available on this file. So for this to work, you can just come into the main and just call greet. Once you call greet, it is going to run the greet function. Oh, why do I keep doing this? It's going to run this greet function once this file gets compiled. So I don't know why it is not printing out. Hmm. At this point, when we ran this without including the greet here, we noticed that there was no execution output. But then at this point, when we included the greet into the main function, we are having an execution output. That means it is compiling something successfully. So I really don't know why it's supposed to print the value of X. Let me use this method and see if it works. It is exactly. Yep. Okay. Okay, so let's make these. Okay. Let's make X something different and see what happens. I don't know. I can't figure out what is going on right now. But let me change X to a different data type. Why do I keep saving? And let's see what it outputs. I really don't know why it's outputting this way, and there's nothing, there's nothing, there's no explanation, there's no proper explanation here. Um, is this for the playground? I don't know why it keeps doing this way. Oh boy, I'm not liking this. Why is my screen not sharing? Sorry guys, I'm just trying to test run this thing very well to be sure of what is going on. It's supposed to give us an output that is readable, but I've not used this playground before, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure what is going on here. Hmm. Okay, I really am not sure what is going on there, but when your app doesn't give you an error, we expect that everything is going well, and then there's an execution output, even though it's printing 0, but let me see. If x is 0, return x. Let me see if this works. Nah, let me use another number. Okay, it's expecting. Oh, okay. So I think I was doing something wrong before, just using the print. But I think this works. This works now. And oh, I'm so sorry, guys. I'm really sorry for everything. I was expecting the execution to print out what we expect. And I'm very sorry for wasting your time and the back and forth. All right. So in Cairo programming, following this, to print out a simple hello Cairo um, um, code, you would need to understand the data types that are involved in Cairo programming. Now, I said something about every variable in Cairo. Every variable in Cairo, upon creation of that variable, at this point, x is immutable. So I cannot say x should be equal 8 at this point and expect it to work. If I run this code, I'm expecting an error because yes, and it is now bringing out some readable errors. Now it says that it cannot assign to an immutable variable because at this point it is immutable. Now to make this mutable, you need to add the keyword mute to make x mutable at this point. And so if x is mutable at this point, we are expecting when we return x, it should return 8, the new value for x. The same way it is immutable at this point is the same way every variable in Cairo is of a felt data type. If the data type of that variable is not declared. So, okay, so we've done variables and mutability, and you've seen that. Now, every variable in Cairo is of the felt data type. Now the felt data type, let's just read it. The felt data type, felt is called field element. So either it's a string, an integer, a boolean, or whatever it is, as long as you did not specify the type of data that variable is, it will automatically take up the felt data type for that variable. So for the variable to be an integer or a different data type, you would need to specifically specify, you would need to specify the data type of that particular variable. And so if we come back here and we say, if we say x is felt 252, the default, why do I always do this? Felt 252 is the default data type. Why? Because it is expected to be the largest, it is expected to be the largest data type found in the Cairo programming language, in that it can take the maximum amount of bytes a variable is supposed to hold, or a variable is supposed to contain, in that particular data type called felt 252. So felt 252 is actually 2 raised to power 252 minus 1. Whatever value you get, that is the maximum amount of value that a felt 252 variable can hold in it. So in Cairo, we do not have a string data type specifically for strings. And so the only type of data that can hold a string data type, or characters of a string, is a felt and a byte array. So if the value of a variable is actually a string, like we are trying to print out hello world cannot be printed with a string because there's nothing to call string. For that to be printed, we need to utilize the felt data type. And so this is how to easily print out your felt 252 data. Let's remove this and see if it still works. And let's call is hello Cairo. Let's see if this runs. So it cannot be created from a string literal because we did not specify the type of data that we expect from this main function. Now we know the type, we might not know the type of data x is, but we believe that x is going to take the felt data type because we did not specify the data type. But then we are returning x. And to return x, we need to make our main function to be a type of function that accepts this return type. And so for this to work, we would need to make our main function returnable. And so to make it returnable, you will need to specify what data type x is. So let's just try this. If you want to return, you would use this arrow and then specify what type of data you are trying to return. Yeah, so because we have specified this, we need to now statically type that X is a felt 252. Okay, so another thing you need to know is, I said when you are writing a string character, the only data type that can accept string characters are felt and byte arrays. Now, what differentiates a byte array from a felt is these quotes, these quotation marks. So normally, the quotation marks for a string literal is just a single quote, while if it is a byte array takes two quotes. Now, these quotes for a byte array means that it can take a larger amount of string. So if you have a very long sentence or so, it is advisable you use a byte array. A byte array is an array of felts, 252 together, concatenated together. And so if we are declaring a byte array, we would use the double quotes. But now we are working with the felt 252, and that is why we need to use the single quotes to differentiate a felt from the byte array. So I just hope that you guys are getting what I'm saying. So this is hello world that has been returned to us in the what data structure is this? What data type is this? This is not binary, like in the hexa. It's not hexa decimal, like bytes, like the byte code of hello Cairo. But this, um once you try to convert this to normal text, it is going to return hello Cairo to you. So now it is working, it is returning hello Cairo to us, and we've understood what um variables are, and how variables are initially perceived in the by the compiler during creation time. Now, if we want to change the value of X, what do we have to do to change the value of X? So I'm sure you guys are following and I'm not just talking. Someone can unmute and just answer me, or write it as a comment in the chat box. So someone should answer.
Yeah, I'm following.
We are following now.
Tell me, what is the answer to, I said if we want to edit the value of X, what do we have to do? So this is X. X is hello Cairo, right? At this point, we have to specify the data type of X by using colon and then the data type. This line is the same with this line, is the same thing. The only difference is that one, the X has its data type specified, while the second line, the X does not have the data type specified, but it is the same thing. So if we want to change or append a new value to X, what do we have to do?
You have to put MUT, mute.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Chill. Okay, okay, guys, you are following. Thank you. So to change this value, we have to use the mute keyword. So at this point, we've returned x. Let's try to change the value of x. Let me see if this is going to work on this playground. I want to say x is equal to hello world instead of hello Cairo. And I try to return x again. Let's see what happens. Now, do we see what happens? It returned hello, right? Hello. That means 2240553423 means hello. As you can see, it is the same it is the same compiled code. So at the first instance, it compiled X and it returned hello Cairo. And then at the next instance, when X value got changed, it compiled and returned hello world. Now let's change this totally to something else. Let's say Blockfuse Labs and try to run this. We should get two totally different bytecodes. As you can see, it ran the first one and gave us hello Cairo, and then ran the second iteration of X and returned Blockfuse Labs. As we can see, it's a totally different code. So this is how you work with variables and muted variables, and also specifying the data type of the variables. So if at this point we decide to make x 8, or let's say we try to make it true, if we run this function, it is supposed to give us an error after like the yes. So it gave us an error, and it said unexpected argument type. It expects x to be a type of felt 252, but found x to be bool. And then it highlights it. It even shows you the line where the error happens, and then it tells you this can't work because this is not a felt data type. This is a boolean. This is expecting a boolean, and so I cannot compile this code, and then everything errors. And so this is how you um write your program in Cairo. This is how you declare a variable. These are there are various data types. They have the primitive data types that includes these, the felt type, the integer types. For the integer types, we have the uint and the int. So the ints are the signed integers, while the uints are the unsigned integers. So it can only take positive values and cannot contain negative values. And these are the various forms of integers we have. We have uint 8, uint 16, uint 32. We have uint 64, 128, uint 256, and we have usize. Now in Cairo, usize and uint 32 are the same. They have the same size. They have the same size, so they can only contain elements that are not more than the values are not more than a uint32 value. So those are the the types. We also have the Boolean type. For the string types, like I said, Cairo does not have a native type for string, but it provides ways you can handle strings using short strings and byte arrays. Now, these short strings, like I told you, have these single quotes, while for the byte array strings comes with the double quotes. Now, outside this type of data, we have complex data types that are compound types. But before we get to the compound types, I want us to do some more, write some more. Um, okay, I think we'll write that later. So to this point, before I go to complex data type, does anyone have any question, or was there anything confusing as based on the back and forth with the screen sharing and all? Was anyone left out anyway? Or you have a question? Let me answer now before we move forward. Hello? Okay, Victory, please ask your question. You would know when the length of a felt should be a byte array is when the felt data type, the value of that felt is more than 32 bytes, 32 bits. So if it is more than 32 bits, that is the maximum a felt data type can take. It is felt 252. So if you convert that 252, it is like 2 raised to power 252 minus 1. So if you convert it to bytes, it is going to give you approximately 32 bits. Sorry, 32 bits. And so once the data type, the value that is coming to that data is more than that 32 bits. Also, if what you are writing is more than 32 characters, like this, you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. This can enter a felt. Now, if this is up to 32 characters, it can enter a felt. But once it exceeds 32 characters, the felt type will be small, will be smaller. Let's try it. Let's try it. So we are sure. So is this up to 30? Okay, so this is long. Let's see if this compiles. Okay, now do you see it doesn't compile? It said the value does not fit within the range of type felt 252 because it is larger than this size. So at the end of the day, it doesn't compile. So if you have any string that is this long, strings are like the longest, I mean the type of data that consumes the maximum space, the most space in your contract, in your code. So if you know that the strings that are going to come are not short strings, then it is better to use a byte array. So if we convert this now to a byte array, the byte array will be an array of felts. I hope this is how it is meant to be spelled. Let's see. Okay, so also remember to convert the does byte array not exist on this type, on this? Remember to convert the quote to from single quotes to, okay, so byte array is with a capital A, from single quotes to double quotes when using a byte array, please. So let's hope this works. Okay, cool. And now you see it works. It gives us our expected output. Can you see it's, oops, 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 oops. Oh my god. Ouch. Sorry about that, guys. But did you see it gave us the value back in felt, in array, in an array of felt? If anyone saw that before this happened. Okay, can you see what I was trying to say? It returned the output in, don't do that again, in an array of felt. So this is the array broken down into felt, into chunks of felt, and then concatenated. So at the end of the day, if you add all of this together, it is going to return I am just some really, really, really long string. So does that answer your question? Thank you. Okay, so Chinonso.
So yeah, good day, man. So I wanted to ask, felt itself is just strictly for arrays, or, or is that what you're, sorry, I was not really following that what you said about felt, but from what so I just want you to like just recap it me too on what
Okay,
felt, yeah, it's used for in particular. Thank you.
okay, you're welcome. Oh, I said for felt. Felt is the default. Felt is the default. Is there a keyword to print the type of any variable? I'm not sure. I am not sure there's any default. There's no, I don't think there's any keyword for that currently. But then please feel free to go through this book. Let me drop it, the link. So there are lots of things you can get from um the appendix and all that. Yeah, so felt is the default data type of any variable in Cairo. Any variable in Cairo. So if you specify a variable in Cairo without specifying the data type, the compiler will automatically assign that variable as a felt data type. It's a field element. So any variable that doesn't have a data type, right? If it doesn't have a data type specified, it automatically becomes a felt data type. Now, I explained that felt is the longest data is it the longest, I would say. It's the data type, is the biggest data type found in the Cairo VM that the compiler can read. Felt is felt 252. What it means is that the value, the range of data a felt variable can hold is 2 raised to power 252 minus 1. So 2 raised to power 252, whatever value you get, minus 1 from it, that will be the longest and biggest amount of data a felt type variable can hold. So that is what I mean. Felt is now is the biggest data type. It can hold the biggest data in Cairo, in the Cairo that the compiler can read. Now, if your data type that you are returning is more than what the felt can hold, it is better to use a byte array. A byte array now is not a new data type that can hold so much data. What the byte array is an array of felts, array of several felts that are concatenated together to now hold the different chunks of the information in different arrays. Then at the end of the day, you combine all these felts together to give you the original inputs, the original value of that variable. So I said in your code, in your programs, the only thing that can take up, the major thing that takes up that much space, right, is a string, right? Is a string that takes up that much space, that much data. And that is why the string data type is always represented as felt, because it is only felt that can hold a string or a very, very long string, depending on the characters in that string. So that is what I mean by when I say the felt data type is the best to be used for string, and that is what is used for short strings in Cairo. Hope that's clear. Chinonso. Thank you. Chinonso, the guy that asked the question, I think it was Chinonso, right? Okay, I think everybody got that. If Chinonso didn't get it, please, you can.
Yeah, I got it. I
Oh,
got it. I got it. Just that my network was a bit bad, so I just came in.
okay, okay, cool, cool, cool. So can we move ahead? Okay, thank you guys. All right, so that is talking about um simple data types, right? Singular data types or whatever. Byte array is a complex data type because it is a combination, is an array of fields, so it is complex. Now, um your your functions may have parameters. They may have parameters that you need to call. So let's say our main function has maybe name, say first and last. So you can make it this way, where you just use first and last, and then in the code You can decide that first is of data type this or the data type that. You can say first is say fate, while last will be this, and then you can do some concatenation things like that, or you can just decide that let x be equal to first plus last or something like that, and then finally you return x. So let's see if this works though. Okay, so it says cannot assign to an immutable variable. So let's make x a mutable variable. Try to assign. Now it says cannot assign to an immutable variable. At this point, what is giving us this error is not x. What is giving us this error is our parameters. As at this point where we listed them, they are immutable. So we need to make them mutable at this point. And then let's try to run it. Okay, so it now said, okay, type annotations needed and blah, 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 blah. All right, so what I was trying to do was to see if this was going to run without specifying the type, but then unfortunately it didn't work. So at this point, when you have two parameters, you can decide, you can what am I trying to say? You can specify the data type directly from the declaration of that function. So let's call it a FEL252, and then last is also of type FEL252, and we are expecting a byte array to be returned, even though what we have here doesn't need a byte array, but let's see. What did you find? Okay, it found, oops, oh my god, I'm so sorry guys. Why do I keep doing this? Ouch. So you can just say let x you can either say let x be this, or I think it is better we just return first but last. Will it work like this? Let me see. Okay, so it failed to compile. All right. So for this to successfully run is if we are going to call this main function somewhere else, right? So what I'll do is I'll call this name function. So we can call it in the name. Okay, and then let's see if this is going to work. And I then call name, and then I say 8. And I assign to these variables. Let's see. Okay, so it successfully ran. It successfully compiled. Okay, I don't know how to read this, what it means. Come on, guys. I'm so sorry, but do you get what I'm trying to do, guys? Okay, thank you. I'm not doing that again. So I was just trying to show you how you can assign parameters. You can call functions that have parameters, and then assign immediately. You call those parameters, assign data types to those parameters immediately in the function declaration before executing the code, writing the implementation of the code, and then executing it. Thank you. So let's go to compound types. Sorry, let me use my slides. Okay. Complex data types, the arrays, tuple structs, all that. So for the compound types, we have the tuple type. Tuple type is a general way of grouping together a number of values with a variety of types into one compound type. Tuples have a fixed length. Once declared, they cannot grow or shrink in size. So we are safe to say that a tuple is also immutable once it has been declared. And this is an example of a tuple. This particular tuple contains different data types. It contains a uint32, a uint64, and a boolean. And these are the values for these variables. For this data type, sorry, these are the values for this particular variable, and these are the data types at the various positions of these values. And also, this is how to destructure a tuple. If you are trying to get a particular information, a particular value, you can destructure the tuple like this in order to read at a particular position the item in that position. We also have the array. This is how you declare an array type, a fixed size array type in Cairo. Okay, so you just, at this point, once you do, this is the name of the array, this is the data type of the array, and this is a fixed type. It is saying that this array will contain 5 items, and these 5 items will only be of uint64. Their data type will only be of uint64. So if something else is trying to be appended into the array that is not a uint64, it will reject it. And if this array already has 5 items in it, and you are trying to append an extra item into this array, it will reject because it is a fixed sized array. And it is a fixed type of array also. Now, let's see this. So if you want your array to contain the same value, this is how you call it. you want it to repeat 3 at all positions, this array A is going to call 3 at all positions. For here, I'm looking for, okay, I think it's not here. Before we get into conversion, okay, so this is just how you declare an array and a tuple. The tuple uses the normal brackets, while the array is declared using the square brackets. And I'm sure we all know what arrays and tuples are. So this is how you declare an array. You can say let array be equal this 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you can say let soup equal 8, 9, 10. It can contain any data type you want actually. Also, we have enums, we have structs, but I think this will suffice for now. So in order for us to print 9 from this tuple, what do? We can destructure and say let A, B, C be equal to soup, and then return B. And let's run to see what gets returned. At this point, we haven't specified, let's see. We haven't specified the data type, so let's specify the data type. Let's just make everything element 8 for the tuple. Let's see if this works without specifying at ABC. Okay. It shouldn't be a problem. Okay, identifier not found. See, integer U8 is not a tuple. Yeah, so because for a tuple, you have to specify the data type of each item in your tuple. So it's U8, U8, U8. Okay, so it gave us, it has outputted, it has returned our output, it returned B as 9. And so this is how you can easily destructure your tuple um to be a to read from a particular value in the tuple. Now array, for this array, let's try to work with this. Okay, let me see if I can do this. Oh, cool. Now for the array, let's try to return the array. Let's make it an array of events 8. Well, I don't think this is going. Let's just see. Okay, so it is saying that this is an array, but then we are asking it to return the event 8, which is not possible because this is not a single data type. It's a complex data type. It's a compound data type, and so we cannot just return this. Instead, what we can return, we are returning an array. See, is this specified? We are returning an array of uint 8, and so this is how you specify an array of a particular data type. So here will not just be uint 8, be an array. An array of uint 8. So let's see. I don't think this compiler playground is equipped enough for this. Okay. So it has expected an array of integer 8 and found whatever it is it found. All right. I don't think this playground can handle this. So normally, when declaring an array, we have to declare it as an array trait. But then the documentation has been changed, and it seems it has been worked on, and lots of fixes has been done. And this is how to access elements of a fixed size array. So let's do this and see. So we can say let's just make this a uint 8. Because they're making the structuring is similar. It's similar to a tuple. So let's see. Let's call C and let's see. Expecting a uint 8. Okay, so it returns C as 4. All right, so they've made it very, very easy to work with arrays and tuples now in Cairo, and this is awesome because I just realized this, and I've been doing arrays the hard way before, where I need to import the array traits and then append to the array, and lots of back and forth with array. But I think this is pretty straightforward and easy to work with. So let's move to the next. The next is type conversion. Now, remember I made mention of different data types we have. We have some data types that are small in size and some data types that are larger in size. And so in working with your data type, at some point you would need to do some conversion and changes to that data type. And if you are, maybe knowingly or unknowingly, it happens. So if you are trying to convert from a large data type to a smaller data type, that is a function that is known to not be fully successful, right? Because if what you are trying to convert from is larger than the space the smaller one you're trying to convert the larger one into can handle, it will not work. So let's say I have 6, and 6 is conveniently a unit 8, right? It can conveniently sit in a unit 8 with lots of space. And then I have um I have 6,000, or maybe I have 600. 600, is it 600 or 6,000? 6,000 cannot conveniently be sitting in a unit 8 because it is larger than the size of a unit 8, right? It is 2 raised to power 8 minus 1, right? So 600 or 6,000 cannot conveniently go into a unit 8 because the data type, the amount of space or the amount of data it uses is larger than what unit 8 can provide. So at a point when you're trying to do data conversion, you check for these types of data. What data type is this particular data you're trying to convert from and convert into? If you are converting from a small data type to a larger data type, 6 conveniently stays in its unit 8. If you're trying to convert 6 of a unit 8 to 6 in a unit 16, there is enough, more than enough space for it in a unit 16. And so that conversion is possible, is true. You use the keyword into when you are converting from a smaller data type to a larger data type. You use the into trait. And these are examples of how you work with the into trait. This is a unit um this is a unit 16, right? This is a unit 8. Unit 8 here is equal 10. We declare a new variable, my unit 16, and we are trying to convert it to a unit 16. And so to do that, you call the variable name my unit 8 dot into with the bracket. What that means is that my unit 16 is containing unit 8. So unit 8 at this point has been successfully typecasted from a unit 8 data type to a unit 16 data type. Now, this is needed when you are doing some kind of additions and multiplications that makes your data type, the value of your data, grow large. So it will be important to note these conversion techniques so you can easily convert to a larger data type. Now, what happens when the data type you're trying to convert from is larger than what you want to convert to? Maybe because the value that that data contains is relatively small than what the space it is occupying. So if you are trying to convert from a large data type to a smaller data type, you use the try into method. Why do we use the try into trait? It is using try into because it might be, the value in it might be larger than the data type you are trying to convert into. And so it is just trying to see if that can work or not. And so for the try into, it uses the option type. These option types helps you to unwrap maybe if there's an error that happened in the process. So if you are trying, or there's a value that comes out of it. So if you're trying to typecast from a large data type to a small data type, you use a try into trait, then dot unwrap. This unwrap will help you to unwrap, to hold the value of whatever you converted from this my 256, my uint 256 to my uint 252. So in this unwrap will hold the value. If there's an error, unwrap will hold the error. This unwrap is here to make sure the compiler compiles without breaking at any point. So let's read it. Similar to into, try into is a generic trait for converting between types. Unlike into, the try into trait is used for fallible conversions, and as such, it returns an option T type. An example of a fallible conversion is when the target type might not fit the source value. Also similar to into is the process to perform the conversion. Just call variable name.try into with the bracket on the source value to convert it to another type. The new variables type also must be explicitly defined. So if you are trying to convert from a data type to another data type, the variable, the data type of that new variable you are trying to convert into, you need to specify it. That is what this is talking about. It needs to be specified. And this unwrap helps you to unwrap if, in case this function or this expression fails, doesn't work. This unwrap helps you to hold that error, or hold the f- the whatever value it is you get from it. You find it in this unwrap option. That is if it errors and then it does not convert into a smaller data type. So this is it about conversion, type conversions, and from larger to smaller and from smaller to larger and all that, and how to work with array, and then tuple, how to destructure an array, destructure a tuple. Is there any question up to this point? Okay. I I think there are no questions up to this point. Okay, so let's make progress. Let's make progress. But is it clear what I've been trying to say? Is it clear to us all? And you don't have a question at Bankat. Victory, please ask
And
this. No, no. If you are converting unit 8 to unit 32, unit 8 is smaller than unit 32. So that conversion is a success. It will successfully go through. So you don't need to use the try into, you use the into. I hope that is clear. Okay, yes. If you're converting from a unit 32 to a unit 8, you will need to use a try into, because the value the unit 32 is holding might be larger than what the space of a unit 8 can contain. So you use the try into just in case the function fails. Yeah. Okay, is there any further question? I think I've eaten so much of our time. Is there any further question? All right. So every let me see. I want to follow my slide so I don't go out of the context of what I have. We have what is called control flow and functions in Cairo. So we've seen the main function and what the main function does. Before I go further, please can someone tell me what the main function does? Anyone? What is the main function for?
Okay. Okay, I can't.
Is someone trying to
Yes.
okay.
Okay. The main function.
It seems your mic is echoing. Okay, for Bankat, you are returning x plus 1. If you notice your function add, you are trying to return a unit 64. And then in your function implementation, you return x plus 1. And x is a unit 32. So this cannot work. Try to change your return type to a unit 32 and see what happens. Or you declare a new variable and assign the data type of that variable should be a unit 64, and then what that variable does x plus 1. Then return that variable and see what happens. Yes, please speak.
Okay. Good evening. So I heard you saying since it was, I think someone was raising a concern since a U8 and then U16. Then since U16 is bigger than U8, you don't need to do the type conversion. So that's why I raised the issue. So why then does so I now thought, okay, since that is the case, if I'm returning U64 for the function, then why is it that I'm passing a U32 and then it's flagging an error? I thought U64 is greater than U32, so automatically it's supposed to typecast and pass since 64 can contain 32. That is my question.
Okay. So the Cairo syntax is statically typed. So you have to specify everything yourself. Like, what I mean is, if you are trying to do a type conversion, you need to specify the into or the try into. And that is not what you are doing in this function. In this function, you are specifying that this function must return a unit 64. But then what you are returning inside the function is not a unit 64 data type, is a unit 32. So why it is failing is because you have a return type, a data type of the returned value to be a unit 64. but that is not the case, and that is why it fails. So if you make what is returned in this add function a uint64, it is going to pass. If you're trying to do conversion, type conversion, you need to specify the dots into all the dots trying to. So what you would do at this point, you would declare a new variable. You would make that variable a uint64 inside your add function, and you will make it to be equal to x dots into, then the brackets, for it to work typecast from a uint32 to a uint64. I hope was that clear?
Yes, I think so. By default now, what you have to return, you have to pass what is returned in a function in Cairo. If not, it doesn't work. So even if I'm to pass like a U64 that is greater than U32, of which a U32 can still pass in U64, but then the syntax is I must return U32. I cannot
Yes,
return U64.
you can't return a uint64.
Okay,
Okay,
noted.
yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right. So was someone trying to say something earlier? Since I mixed it up, you can type if
Okay. So I was trying to say the use of the main function in Cairo, it serves as the starting point of your program.
okay. Okay, thank you very much. Even though I'm not expecting the answer from the admin, but thank you very much for helping out. So,
Faith is admin, no, it's not admin. You know that we are currently some students and they are on site here. I'm
oh,
currently at the facility now, so we have like more than 15 of them here. So
oh,
he now use my like my laptop like and to speak.
okay, okay,
Uh,
thank you.
his name is Kingsley Kingsley Kefas.
Oh, okay, 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 cool, 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 cool.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Izzy. All right, so the main function, like I said, executes all the code in your Cairo program. If you do not have a main function, your code logic will not be run. And so that was what I asked. Sorry, what is this? Same function, leave.cairo. Lucky, I'm not sure I understand what you're trying to say. Are you asking a question? Okay, okay.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Okay, I think Lucky is also in the class.
Yeah, he's coming out to speak.
Okay, cool.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, please, I can.
Okay, I was just trying to say that the main function is just like similar to the lift of Cairo when you're trying to run it using the scarf.
Thank you. Yes, yes, yes. It functions that way. Thank you, Lucky. Okay, so I guess we we understand to this point. All right, so let's quickly go through this so we can call it a day. So control flow and functions. We all know what control flow is. Control flow means the flow of information, flow of logics, how everything works, iteration and everything, conditional statements, functions, how what is contained in a function block, what should be in a function block, what shouldn't be in a function blocks, and all that. So we have conditional statements, loops, and iteration to keep on iterating until you reach a particular value. We all know what conditional statement is, using if else statement to make sure a condition is met before an action is performed, right? We all know what loops are and iterations. Loops means a process is continually um, repeated until a condition is met, right? So loops always function best with a conditional statement. Loops can only function with a conditional statement. There has to be a condition for the loop to run. If not, it will be a problem. And we know what functions are. Functions are a block of code that holds your, it's a reusable structure of code that holds the logic or an implementation of a particular thing, right? Stored in a function. So let me see what else is there. Okay. Oh, cool, cool, cool. So let's quickly go through these. So I'm not going to bore us with the whole go to go of it. If and else is the same thing. If and else in any, is this solidity? Yes, solidity or your um onboarding into blockchain development. The solidity is the same way you write your if and your else statement in Cairo, just as you write in any programming language, JavaScript. Solidity. What? Yes. Yeah, block of code that performs a specific task. Um, you have a problem with that? So, are you asking a question? You know what a function is, right? Is function is the same thing in any programming language, whether it's a smart contract programming language or a normal program. Function is the same thing. It's a block of code that holds the logic to perform a particular action. Oh, okay, okay, yes, yes, yes. Yeah, it's just a very, very simple definition. You can use this if you are trying to do like an article or something, a modular reusable component for improved maintainability and scalability of your code. So it can be that. Lucky, you have a question. Okay, so I want to try to,
Okay, can you
okay,
hear me?
yes.
Okay, when talking about array, you mentioned something about array traits. Can you please give us a simple example of that, like simple example?
Okay, so I think it has. Okay, let's see. All right, this is what I was talking about. When declaring an array, we use the array trait to create a new array. So the array trait is like most times they are predefined methods that are already written in the background for the compiler to you know for that the compiler has in it predefined that a user or a dev can easily call and leverage. So all these traits are already predefined in the compiler. So you can use them to do any actions you want to do. So what I was trying to say then is when you are trying to declare a new array, use the array trait method. So when you use this array trait method, it bootstraps a brand new array for you. without any item in that array. So let's say here we want array to be a new array. You can just say array trait and then semicolon 2, normal colon 2, 2 normal colon, and then declare new. New is a method in the array that helps us to create a brand new array. So at this point, the array is empty. And so to add items to this array, remember you need to make it a mutable variable so it can change. So to append to an array, you use the append keyword. So you say array.append. And this is how you add items to an array. So I'm adding 1, 3, 41. At the end of the day, if you read this array, you will notice it has 3 elements, 3 items in this array. Let me see if this would work. I don't think it's going to work. I don't know if this playground doesn't look like it is programmed to read complex information. See, hmm, hmm, it's not. It's not. It doesn't. It cannot read an array. So okay, let me see. Returns an array of unit 8. Should be the type of array of unit 8. Oh, it's red. Okay, it's red. So you see, it has returned the elements in the array to be 1, 3, and 41. So this is how you append to an array. To remove from an array, it removes from the first item in the array, and you use the pop front command. So it will call array.pop front. Also, pop front is also an option type, and so you also unwrap in case there is an error. It can hold the error for you. More than one. Oh, it's ambiguous. Let's see. Only pop. Let's see. Sorry, I think I spelled it wrongly. To update, this is how you update. Okay, the pop front has a hyphen. So you see, it has removed 1 from the array and returned 3 and 41. So let me add the unwrap and see if it still gives us unambiguous false. Okay, okay. I don't know what happened, but then it read the array from behind and returned the values from behind. I don't know what's going on here, but then that's what happened. But then, to the person that asked, hope it is clear now what I mean by array trait. Array trait will initialize a brand new array for you. So hope that is clear. Yeah, thank you. So at this point, you can even test it to be sure. If we run this, it's supposed to return an empty array. As you can see, it returned an empty array because nothing has been initialized. Nothing has been added, so it's a brand new array. So this method,
Hello.
hello, you use this method when it is not a fixed array and you don't know the value that array. It's a dynamic method for declaring an array. Sorry. Yes, please. Who was asking a question?
Okay, I drop a question on the chat. Okay, so like, please, the second maybe or let's give some arrangements.
Sorry, what did you say?
Okay, I said, how can we print the second index or any position of the arrangement?
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm not hearing you. It's echoing.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yes, it's better.
Okay, I said, how can we print any position of the array elements on the trace, like the array trace?
To target the array at the position.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. To access elements. Okay, I get the question now. Let me quickly attempt to this. This is not going to work. Um, you want to return an array from a function. To return an array from a function, you are declaring that this array should be of type uint32. If you look at this is not spelled correctly, so it is not going to work. And then please remove this oh, it doesn't matter, but then no need for this. So change this to array trait of uint32 and new. Then after appending x to this array, you are going to return the array itself. So if you return the array and it doesn't work, you would have to come and specify the data type of this array to be an array of u32. Then return array before it will work. So like this. Is there a way I can share this playground to you guys? I don't know. Everything has cleared, unfortunately. You just use the recording. Prepare better for next. Okay, what is the paste bin for? Is it to paste the code? I don't know. I hope it was. I'm not sure. All right. So to the person that asked how to access elements in an array, this is how you access elements from an array. by using the get or the at method. Now, the get or the at will help you to access an element at a particular position in the array. Now, I really don't want to confuse us with this method because, but then we haven't gotten to this point yet, but then feel free to pick your brain. This is how to use the get method to access an array item. Once you have appended an item into an array, you can decide to use the get method. You need to understand how match works, how the match box works. And in using the match box, it returns an option type of sum and none. So for the sum, it checks this particular array at that particular index to see if there is an item there. If there is an item on that index, it will unbox it for you. It will, just like using unwrap, but this one, it still uses a box method where it unboxes what particular value is sitting at this position. Then if there is nothing in that index that you imputed, it will tell you out of bounds. It will panic and return out of bounds. That means your array does not contain up to that index you imputed to search for. That is working with the get method. Working with the at method is very straightforward. Very straightforward in that with the at method, you use a snapshot of the array, and then you say the snapshot of the array dot at the particular index you are looking for, right? And then it will return the item in that index. The difference between the get is that get will return the index for you, will return the item for you. You can use it to go through the array and return whatever is sitting on that index. But the at is majorly used for this thing, for checking, just to check, for asserting, for testing. I think that is the best thing. It is used for testing, to test that whatever is sitting at that position is exactly what needs to be sitting at that index. So you use the at method for testing majorly, while you use the get method when you are trying to like work on a code or trying to assess what is sitting on that index. So these are just the methods you use to read an item sitting on the index of in an array. I would have loved to go through this, but then I've wasted so much time trying to get my screen to share, and I don't know. We still have some things to cover, but like I said, I might have to do a video or so again to just show some things or share some video resources that I have where I tackled these in depth. But then if you go through this, like consume this 3-4 times, you'll see it's not as complex as it seems. So this is it. The person that asked the question first, are you satisfied with the answer? Oh, okay, cool. The person that asked the question of assessing array items, are you satisfied with the answer? Oh, okay. Okay, thank you very much. Does the snapshot of an array? Yes. Snapshot of an array means a copy of an array. It is not it is not actually the true state, it's not actually the true information in the array. If something changes in that array, the snapshot you have will not change. It will still be the previous copy that was snapshotted that you'd be working with. Yeah, you're welcome. All right. So I was trying to show you control flow. Okay, I think I've shown you control flow. It's the same way to work with if and else statements. You need to have a condition, right? You say if something exists, do this. If else, if it is this, do this. So we can update our code to include, let's just say let x be equal 5. And let's say if x is equal 5, do this. Let's just say it should return x, else it should return 0. I don't know if it can just return text. Let's see. So let's try this. Let's try this and see if it works. Oh, I'm still expecting this. So let me comment this out. And then if I am expecting okay, let me make this a unit 8. Fortunately, I have to add data type, so I cannot use this. I have to use 0. So if x is 5, it should return x, else it should return 0. So it returned x for us, 5. And then if we make x 15, it is supposed to return 0. So this is just the normal if else statement. It works the same way as a normal if else statement works in your normal programming language. So yep. Now if you have multiple conditions, then you want to work with a loop. Okay, so these are still some if-let statements. The if-let statement is an interesting way of defining an if statement and assigning it a variable to, and assigning that if statement to a variable immediately. So you can define a number like this. It said let number be equal to an if statement. So that is what the if in a let statement means. And if let means you declared a new variable and you're assigning this condition, this if else statement, to it. So whatever is the outcome of this condition, it should be assigned to number. The result of this computation should be assigned to number. So that is what the if let is. Now for For the loops is a repeated code, like it's used for repetition. So what happens when you run this loop print again? So when you run this, when you use this keyword loop, what it does is that it tells Cairo to execute a block of code over and over again forever, or until you explicitly tell it to stop. So unlike other programming languages where you have to specify for loop by using for dot this in iterating over this I plus plus and stuff like that. In this one, you use the keyword loop. Once you use the keyword loop, it means whatever program you write after inside the blue loop block, you want it to continue repeating over and over and over and over and over and over again, unless you have a condition that specifies how many times it should repeat, or once it gets to a certain number, it should break or stuff like that. So that is how loop works in Cairo. You use the loop keyword. Now, when you specify using the loop and the conditional statement, it helps to control your loop. So in this example, we are we are looping I if I is lesser than 10. If I is lesser than 10, it should continue the loop. But immediately I becomes greater than 10, we want the loop to break. And then we want it to print this. So at every iteration of I, where I is plus or equal to 1, plus and equal to 1, at every iteration of I starting from 0, I at this point will be 0, right? And 0 is less than 10, so it's not going to break. It will come to this line and it is going to print I is equal to what I is at this point, 0. Then 0 is going to plus equal to 1. It means it's going to add 1 to the current number. So 0 plus 1 will be 1. Then the loop will start again. I is still lesser than 10 because it is just 1 at this point. It will come here and print I equals to 1. Add 1 to 1, it becomes 2. So this process will continue repeating itself over and over and over again until its I is equal to 10. At this point, when I is equal to 10, it adds 1 more to this I, it becomes 11. When this loop starts again, when 11 is obviously greater than 10, the loop is going to break. The code is going to end here. It is not going to come to this line. So this is the beauty of adding conditions to your loop so that you do not get stuck in an infinity loop. Okay, so the next way you can declare a loop is by setting the continue keyword. Also, the continue keyword tells the program to go to the next iteration of the loop and to skip the rest of the code in this iteration. So when you use the continue keyword, what it's trying to do is at the point when the condition is true, when you need the continue, it will skip that particular loop and move to the next one. So here is doing the same thing with the previous code, but we said if I is greater than 10, it should break. Then we are now checking to see if I is directly equal to 5. At the point when I is directly equal to 5, we tell it to continue. We say I plus equal to 1. So we increase it to 6 by ourselves, and then we tell it to continue. So at this point where I is equal to 5, this loop, this print will not work. It is not going to execute, it's not going to work. What it means by continue means go to the next iteration. So it will skip 5 and move to 6. It will skip what it's supposed to do when I is equal to 5, and then skip to 6, and then 6 will run. So if it's 0, I is equal to 0, I equals to 1, I equals to 2, I equals to 3, I equals to 4, it will now be I equal to 6, and it will not run 5, because we said it should continue. What it does is to stop and restart. So that is with loops. This is how you return values with loop. You can assign a loop, a block of loop, to a variable, and so whatever value you get after the loop has done its computation, it gets stored in results. And then this is how you use while loop with a conditional statement. So you say while something is going on, it should run this. At the point when it doesn't go on again, everything stops. So I think the while loop is more sufficient than using the loop to keep on iterating, because the while loop is more straight to the point. And with the while loop, you do not need to add an if statement most of the time. You just declare your condition immediately while setting the loop. So it is much feasible to work with a while loop. Okay, and yeah, all these are loops. I would advise you go through this, and it's the same. It's the same thing with loops and if and conditional statements with other programming languages that you know. So they do the same thing exactly. The only difference is in the syntax, which the programming language syntaxes are different. So does anyone have any question to now? So we move to the final lab. When will we know when to use U size over U? There's no point. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. You either use U size or use U in 32. They do the same thing. It's like an alias. U size is like an alias for U in 32. So it's the same thing. Okay, please, does anyone have any question, or are you confused? Okay, if is anyone confused? Okay, does anyone have any question? Oh, thank you. You're okay. Okay, so let's move to the next step. Now, the next phase is, no matter how long you keep learning a programming language, and trying to learn Cairo and all that, it will not really stick until you get your hands dirty and start building, like what Lucky has been doing, and he has been following along. That's really nice. He has been writing some things. Same with Victory. So, and Bankat, yeah, Bankat. So it is better to get your hands dirty. That is the way it's going to stick. And there have been lots of programs that have come up to help us learn Cairo, and not just learn Cairo, learn it at a very fast pace. and that is why we'll be working with Starklings. Starklings is more like a gamified approach for you to learn Cairo programming language. Just it's an adaptation of Rustlings, where it's a gamified approach for you to learn Rust programming language. And this time it makes it more like a challenge, so it makes it really fun for you to learn. And so we'll be going to Starklings challenge. Okay, we all know what functions are and how to work with functions, I am sure. If you have any question, please ask me. So let's understand what the Starklings challenges are. Let me see. So I sent the link previously to the group, to the chat. But let me send it again. So StarkNet is a web-based interactive tutorial to learn Cairo and StarkNet. What else did I cover? So understanding the challenges. In StarkLinks, the approach is for every challenge, it means you are learning a new concept from the Cairo book and learning the new syntax and how to apply it. So every step is like an advancement of the previous step for you to learn properly the Cairo syntax, and it also gives you hints from the Cairo book that you can use to understand what the challenge is about, what you need to learn to in order to solve the challenge, and then start thinking of how you can build a project from scratch. So that is the challenge, then the step by step solutions. Okay, so let me show you the challenges. The first challenge said, welcome to Starklings Cairo version 1. This exercise doesn't do anything yet, but it still compiles. Cairo file getting run needs to have a main function. So this file is a valid Cairo file. Other exercises will require you to write Cairo code to make the exercise file compile. So it says that this is a valid Cairo file. Why? Because it contains the main function, even though the main function is empty. The Cairo compiler will still read this as a valid Cairo file. So we'll click on compile. We should see it compile. So a thing of advice though is, before you start attempting this, try to connect your GitHub repository so it can save your progress. If not, you may have to start from scratch. And then once you save your progress, you can easily post once you are done. It's already tied to your GitHub repository. And then if you are intending to apply for some StarkNet programs, build camp, hacker houses and all, they would use your GitHub repository to check if you have undergone the StarkNet exercises. So if you want to claim you have done the StarkNet exercises, they would use your GitHub repository to check to be sure. So if you know, you would definitely be continuing in StarkNet and advancing for higher things, tasks to be done in the ecosystem. I will advise you connect your GitHub to this StarkNet challenge. Now, also, final this thing note is that this StarkNet challenge must not be done on the web. The web makes it easy to access, yes, but you can easily clone the repository and solve it on your local machine. It will also still update on your GitHub repo. So you can use any method. Okay, like I think I've spoken a lot. Let's move to the next. So was that a question? Okay, let's move to the next. Now, say this exercise won't compile. Can you make it compile? Can anyone tell me why this exercise won't compile? Hello.
Yeah, I can talk.
Yes, it's an empty file. That's why.
Okay, so what do I need to put in it?
FN main open and close brackets, and then the curly braces.
Okay, let's
Yeah.
try. Okay, thank you very much. It passes. So the next thing it says, make me compile. So for some challenges, you don't know why it is erroring, or you won't know what the error is until you click compile. So I advise you, if you don't know what is going on, click compile so you will see the error message and then make it work. Most times, sometimes you can see what the error is, but most times you won't even know what the error is. So just compile. The compiler is smart enough to show you at least where the error is coming from. So now something is wrong with your code. It failed to compile. Then it's showing us where the failure is coming from. It says it's an invalid left hand side of assignment. So what does that mean?
Um,
No one answering.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah. So you use the let.
Okay.
Yes, let variable.
Yes. So let was not defined here. So if you add let, it is supposed to compile at this point. Cool. So we'll move to the next. It says make me compile. Now this is not going to compile. Why? I think this
Because
is okay. Okay. Yes.
yeah, both of them are using the are both immutable. So you have to use the immutable as let's. So for the line 2, you have to use let's mute x.
Okay. Okay. So well, yeah, what you said is very, very valid.
Okay.
But
Yeah. Then
actually, what
you so it doesn't have a value too.
okay,
Yes.
thank you.
It doesn't
So
have a
what
value.
here is that
Also, yeah.
yes?
Uh, yeah,
Oh,
you can put in any value. So you can use let x equals yeah.
thank you. So guys, what happened there was something I missed out when I was explaining variables to you. In Cairo, you cannot declare the variable without assigning a value to that variable. It cannot work. The compiler wouldn't compile that code. At declaration time, at creation time of any variable, you need to specify the value of that variable. So you cannot just declare an empty variable without appending a value to that variable. It's not going to work. So let's move to the next challenge. Now it says let x and then data type, but then it doesn't compile. Who knows why this doesn't compile?
Oh,
Yeah, can I
we're not seeing your
yes,
screen.
sir. Can another person answer? Okay, Victory. It says there's no string after the felt. Can you type out the correct method? Wow, Victory has been active here. Thank you so much. Who has been answering here? Is it Lucky?
See.
Yes, Emmanuel.
Okay, okay. Can other people answer too? I just want to be sure you guys really have getting it and not just one person or two. Yes, no value was assigned to X. Thank you. Is my screen no longer sharing?
Yes, your output.
What?
Your screen is not showing. Your screen is not showing. Yeah, it's showing now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Is it possible to pin your screen like a kind of
Let me see. It's pinned actually for everyone.
okay? No problem.
Okay. All right. So as you can see, it worked. Even though one technically string. Remember what I told you that felt 252 can be for any um thing, either it's a string for any character,
Yeah.
and that's why one is missing. So go to the next one, and okay, let's do all the variables so you can all converse with it, and then the rest will be your assignment.
Okay.
Add mute to X. Okay, I like the yeah. Awesome, awesome. Now who knows what this is? Say don't change this line and don't rename this variable.
You
So
start to
yes, yes.
okay, let me just like this.
Add let to the second variable. Okay, thank you.
So,
So at this point, what is going on here is a concept called shadowing.
yeah.
So we all know what shadowing is. Shadowing means when there's a another variable in the same code base with the same name of a previous variable. When you declare another variable same name that a previous variable use, at that point, every time that variable is called, it is the shadowed um, it is the value of the last um, variable with that name that keeps on being used always. So at this point, it is shadowed. So what it means is that the first variable number with one still exists. This number two is still a new variable. That is the both of these both variables are existing. In this case, they are both existing. No one has overwritten the other one in storage or in memory. They are both existing as two separate variables. The only thing is that this second one is shadowing the first one. So anytime this name is referenced, um the last iteration of that name will be what would be called, or will be what will be used. It is different from making number mutable. When you make number mutable, what happens is that change the value entirely for the same variable. But when you are shadowing means this variable exists twice and they both have different, or they will have the same value. Yeah. It is not one variable in its value this time. It is the same name variable exists at multiple. Maybe I'll call it multiverse. They are coexisting at the same time. It's just that is the last one that was declared that will keep on being read all the time. So that is the difference between shadowing and mutation. Please, was that clear?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, please ask the question.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, this concept of shadowing, we have a variable number, right? And at the first instance, and the second one was assigned another different value. So now, can we still access that first value that was assigned since the second one has shadowed it? So now I'm trying to get the concept of this shadowing. Since it's the same particular variable, we're using it to assign those values. So now is it trying to like get something like arrays or stuff?
Okay, so let me put it this way. What is happening at that point is it did not replace the first one. It did not replace the first one. It is still there. Only thing is that it has taken that same name. So anytime you are trying to read and you call that name, it will always return the last um name, the last value of the name you created, of that same name you created. So let's say the name is what name can I use? Let's say Scarface. Scarface of Blockfuse. Now Scarface as a spelling has A twice in the name. The second A does not replace the first A in the name, right? They are both coexisting at the same time, right? Thank you. They are both coexisting at the same time. Now, the only problem is when you call A, what the compiler will read will be the last A that is in Scarface's name because it is the newest iteration of A. So if A is holding any value in it, it is that value of the last A that will be read. But it did not replace the first A that appears after the C in Scarface, that appears after the C, not the A before the C in the face. In the Scar, the A after the C has not been replaced. The only difference is that the A in face is what is being read because it's the latest variable with the same name called A. So behind the scene, the memory where the value A is stored still has A being held there. If you read from memory, you will see that it is not empty. It is occupied with whatever value A holds, the first A holds. And then the memory slot where the second A is placed has its own items stated there also. So this the structuring and all these things will happen at the memory level, not at the code level where you want to call A. I don't know if that is clear.
Yeah, I'm trying to get it. So is it that when the first array is being assigned and another one is being assigned, is it that the compiler will change the pointer from that first one to the second one also?
Like something like that. It will be reading from the second A. Anytime you call A, it will be the second A that will be read. That is when we are talking about shadowing, right? The
Yeah.
second A will always be called because you cannot differentiate. It will be the last, the newest A that was created that will be read. But then if you are using mutation, that first A, the item in that space of that first A will be changed to the new item, will be replaced. So that is the difference. Okay. Hope that is clear, everyone. Thank you, guys. So for the final one that I'll be working with you guys. You say, don't change the value of this constant. So let's try to compile and see what's going on here. Here it gives us constant number. Const number is equal to 3. And it gives small number is equal to 3. Anytime you see any figure like this, what it means is that after this hyphen, the next items you see is the data type of this item, of this value. So this 3 is a unit 8. Now it says that something went wrong with your code, failed to compile, unexpected token. It expected colon followed by a type in followed by a type okay, in const number equal 3. So in line 113, that is this. Same thing for small number. So the next thing is for a constant. If you are trying to declare a constant, not a let now, declaring a constant in Cairo, at declaration time, you need to also specify the data type of that constant. Because it is a constant, it doesn't change, right? It is not supposed to change anywhere. So at declaration time, everything is supposed to be known about that constant. The data type, the value, everything needs to be predefined, needs to be defined upon declaration time. Unlike let can can pass without a data type, but you still need to declare the value for let. But in constant, you have to specify the data type for it to pass. So anytime you declare a constant, always declare its data type associated, and also always declare its value. So this should compile. And great, it has compiled. So this is your assignment. I just had to go through the 4 steps with you so you understand how it works, and then you see how interesting it is, and get yourself set up and ready. So if you can tidy up with the rest exercises, you'll be a Cairo wizard at the end of the day. So this is your assignment. I don't know if it needs to be edited by the team at Blockfuse Labs, but yeah, this is what I'm expecting. I'm expecting your assignments to be completed within a week. Because it's interesting, it's fun, and I'm expecting if you have any challenge, you should reach out. I'll try my best to be as available as possible, as much as possible as I can, and I'm sure Scarface will always like reach out in case there's anything. So please This is the end of the class. Thank you for staying tuned. Any question, any confusion? Yeah, Victory, please. Okay. It compiles with a proof. Oh, you can't see an example of that in a high level perspective. Um, it compiles with a proof. Can you, like, what do you mean? It's the technology it uses, the ZK technology, ZK proof technology. Is that what you mean? If that is what you mean, you can't see that in a high level. You have to, it's very, very low level. You have to like see it from another perspective, not what you can easily read. I think you would have to go through shell and stuff. That is if I really get what you mean. Can you like throw more light on your question so I'm sure? Can anyone hear me? Oh, okay. It returns a proof after it compiles. Well, we've been seeing what it returns after compilation. The proof of code. Yeah, Chino, so please ask your question. Let me be sure.
Okay, sorry. That that Starkling's problem just solved now. Why
Yes.
the is the small number constant? Why the V8 by the side of it, by the side of the after declaring the function, after initializing the function, the constant there, the variable there. Why that underscore U8? What is that a number, or what would you call that?
Yes. So what I said is that that number there is 3. So it's implying that this 3 is of a data type of unit 8. So this 3 is a unit 8 data type. So it's just the same thing. You can specify it as the number has this data type of unit 8, or this number is a felt data type, or this number is a unit 32 data type. It is just specifying that that number is of data type unit 8. It is specifically telling you that the number cannot be more than a unit 8. That's just the difference. But it's the same number 3.
Number three, like
Yes,
I can make it 12 underscore U8. It's the same
exactly.
thing.
If you
Okay.
do plus something else, it will still work as 12.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. Yes, please, Lucky. Have a question.
Hello, sorry. So why? So why? Sorry, it should be the syntax.
What did you say? Why? What?
Okay, like I wanted to like ask because like then why is there need now to like put U8 in front of the name of the variable when you have already uh like uh assigned it U8 after declare naming
Yes,
the
if you
variable.
are using a let, right? You are using a let, it works in fact as long as it doesn't have a return type in the function. You are just doing a normal expression, right? It works fine. But then if there's a return type, you would have to specify in the at the front of the variable what type of data is this variable, so that you return that particular variable. If you do not specify it, it will not work. All that, what that is just showing is, it's just showing you that this three is a unit 8. If you want to return the variable that holds 3 in your return function, you would have to add unit 8 as what the function is going to return, right? That unit 8, now you will need to add it in front of the variable, so that when you return that variable, it will not, the compiler will not. But if you are using a normal let function, maybe you are just doing an if else or something and you're not returning anything, it passes, it works very in a constant, it will not work. You will need to specify in the constant. Even though you specify that the number is a unit 8, you will still need to specify that that variable is of data type unit 8. So it can only pass a let statement, not a const. And if you are not returning it as a data type in a function. Yes, Lucky, please ask your question.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, now I'm just trying to understand something. You mentioned earlier that some of the documentation on the Cairo book we're using kind of updated, that they're working on another version of stuff. So is there any way that we can get some of the updates? Like because
So I
actually,
said it's updated, not outdated. I said the informations have been updated.
okay, but on this same particular book, or is there any
Yes,
we
Cairo
can get?
book.
Okay.
Yes, it has been updated. That was what I meant, not outdated. What I meant was the code we were writing before, like a few weeks ago, a few days ago, has been changed to something better and simpler. Yeah, so that's what I meant. What I meant.
All right. Thanks.
Yes, you're welcome. So, for victory, this question, I really don't get the proof of the code. So every time you run the compilation, you see what it generates. It generates the execution trace, or the what is that thing it generates? Let me just check it. The execution output. The output is it generates is true, right? Because that is what the code contains. That is what we are trying to get. All I don't know if that is what you are asking, but then there's an execution trace. This execution trace, and I think this is even nice. This execution trace is showing you the various points, the various entry points, the various things stored in the execution array. So unless you are trying to go very, very low level, I don't think you need this. But these are the information you need to prove the authenticity of this code through what has been generated from this execution trace. So that is using the zero knowledge technology. It's the zero knowledge ZK stack technology, where you'd have to compile your execution trace. The execution trace will show you, the proof at different states, at different points. When you compile it together, it will now generate the original proof at the end of the day, sent to the contract that handles verifications and all those things. But I don't think that is what you should be bothered about at this point, though. But if that's what you mean, I think this is it. This is the execution trace that proves the authenticity of the program. Okay, that's it, right? Okay, cool. Okay, any further questions, guys? All right, thank you very much. I think I'll hand over to Scarface.
And I don't know if you have an assignment for them.
Yes, the assignment is for them to complete StarkNet within the week.
Okay, okay. That's
Yes.
okay. Let's uh give it up for Fitz Roberts for the wonderful session, right? Thank you so much for actually why they laugh. Thank you so much for coming through for us. We will really, really appreciate and we are very, very grateful for the a nice
Thank you.
lecture. Yeah. See you some other time.
Yeah, thank you. Bye, everyone.
Yeah, bye.
So we didn't get the